Before we get started today, I would like to draw attention to a GoFundMe that my friend and the moderator of our Discord channel, Malcaria, is running. She's trying to raise money to visit her brother who is stationed in Japan. She's trying to raise $1,800 by May 16th. I had said April 28th previously. That's just because I don't know how to read. So that was my mistake. So she's trying to raise that much money by May 16th, which still isn't very long. And I'll include a link to the GoFundMe in the description. If you have any money at all that you're able to donate, I would be very appreciative if you would consider chipping it in to help my friend go and see her brother who is stationed in Japan. So, thank you very much for listening and donating any money if you do, and now let's get back to business. Okay, today we are playing a game on Dorado. We are playing Mercy the entire way through, and there is no SR for today's game because this is actually an open division game, if you can believe it, I know. So basically everyone involved in this game is more qualified to talk about the game than me, but here we are anyway. Current team composition is Reinhardt, Roadhog, Reaper, McCree, Zenyatta, and Mercy. So, also, I would like everybody to know, ahead of time, that the Roadhog is being played by someone named Lord Thickness. So that's really good. That gives us an increased chance of winning right there because of this obvious synergy. Now, I would not typically condone picking Reaper on Dorado because there's a lot of high ground to contest, and at least on the first checkpoint, it takes Reaper a long time to get into position to contest the high ground, which is generally suboptimal. There are not very many places to teleport to that are actually helpful. You have to do a lot of walking to get there. But at the same time, based off the conversation that was happening in-game, we were expecting them to run a dive comp, it sounds like, which they are. So, you know, we've got Reaper, Roadhog, McCree. So that's very inconvenient for them. Now, by the same token, though, if we're expecting them to run a dive comp, and let's not forget that they are a fully coordinated dive comp of 6 people, right? Zenyatta is gonna get fucked unless we peel really well for him, right? Like, he is gonna be the focus of that dive. So we're going to have to work really hard to keep him alive. He would have probably been better off picking Lucio. But if we can keep him alive, that's great. But we're going to have to try really hard to keep Zenyatta alive. So, anyway, let's start the game. I have more comments on the team comp later, but we'll talk about it when it gets to it. Because, you know, you didn't specifically ask for, like, team advice in the email, but we're playing Mercy. So there's not that much to say, you know how it is with Mercy. So, they do have a dive comp. Here comes the dive right now. Here's Winston, they're honest. Zenyatta is being dove presently, but then they sort of lose focus partway through. Oh god, we're just trying to, like, keep mobile in the fight. Oh god, we take a big burst of damage. Temptation would be to heal this Zenyatta right here, because he's almost dead. He's actually... Oh, if that bomb hit either of us, we'd both die. So it's very good that the physics engine decided we should live today. So temptation would be to heal Zenyatta. Zenyatta's not actually at that much risk anymore, except from a random bomb. All these boys over here are still fighting, so they're of more concern to us right now. As a GA, I don't condone this use of GA right here, because we can heal these boys from here, and we're currently 44 health, and then we GA, and like, Junkrat's right there. Fortunately, he's looking in this direction, so he doesn't throw a pizza at us and kill us. But if he was looking a little bit more to the right, we'd die for this. Also, they have a McCree and a Zenyatta, so just like cutting across like this opens us up to death, and we could reach those boys from the corner. So this GA actually puts us in more risk than if we had stayed back there. Because back there was basically just if a bomb hits us, we die. Now... their Lucio has died, which has killed some of their momentum. Zenyatta died, but he died in an extraordinarily convenient location, so we can just res him no problem. So an issue that we run into a lot during this game, we're about to run into one of the issues, is that people are bad at avoiding bombs. We just broke the tire, so that's great, but watch what happens to the DPS in this tunnel. So, you know, we're having a great time, we're sitting back, they can't really hit us, great. Oh, McCree died to bombs, Reaper dies to bombs. So, that's a problem. Another issue that we have is that Lucio kind of hangs out behind us a lot, and Zenyatta and McCree kind of just sit on the balcony shooting down at us the entire time. And no one feels super inclined to put a stop to it. So, this is a problem we run into. a lot of this replay is this first checkpoint, because we have some trouble getting through this doorway. McCree is going to change to Genji, which is fair enough. Then he can actually contest the high ground, so that's cool. Once he changes to Genji, I will remark on what I think we should have done, team composition-wise. Because then, you know, a little easier to talk about it if he's playing Genji. So we're just trying to stay out of the way. And, you know, we're playing Mercy, we're sitting back, there's a boy up there in the center, that's upsetting. Bomb, worst bomb ever, still actually kills McCree. So, you know, that's upsetting. We come out to try and heal people. Oh, Deadeye's happening behind us. So we die, right there. That's very unfortunate. McCree changes to Genji now, yes. So here's my statement on the team composition, right? We should have really just run a dive comp as well, right? Because they've got full old school dive comp going, right? Because they've got Lucio and Zenyatta, which means they don't have a lot of healing. So here's what I reckon we should have done. We should have gone full dive. These boys should have changed to Winston and D.Va. And then Genji can stay Genji, that's fair enough, you know, high ground, all that. Reaper should have changed to Pharah, right? And then, you know, Pharah, Winston. That is awful. What was I thinking, trying to draw fucking letters with a mouse? So these should have changed to Winston D.Va. This should be Pharah. Because then we can do Pharmacy. And you might, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but wait, Zenyatta and McCree, we're changing to a dive comp to kill those people. Because they're the ones that give us so much trouble during this first checkpoint, right? So if these two boys right here just jump on them, suddenly they have to focus on dealing with that issue rather than dealing with us as the pharmacy, right? So then, you know, maybe D.Va's trying to harass us while that's happening, but if that's the case, it's even easier for the dive side to kill them, because don't forget, they've got Winston, D.Va, and Genji trying to kill them. So they're invested in that. They don't do a lot of healing, right, because they've got Lucio, Zenyatta. So they're gonna have to, like, ult to survive if we execute well, because Zenyatta and McCree are being fucked. McCree's gonna use his flashbang just to try and survive. D.Va is going to have to help them, so she probably won't even be harassing us as pharmacy. If she isn't going to kill us, right? Like, a pharmacy is not going to get killed by a D.Va by herself. So if she's harassing us, even better. Then there's less people trying to help the Zenyatta and the McCree. And then, because they have so little healing that one of the supports is going to have to ult for them to realistically survive. But they can't ult every team fight. And Sound Barrier is not necessarily enough either. And then Zenyatta also probably would have less to worry about, because if they're being dove on, they'll be more concerned about diving in at the same time. So I think we should have gone Winston D.Va, Pharmacy, just jump on these two. Suddenly they're not contesting the high ground anymore, so the principal issue that we're having is removed, and then we can worry about the Junkrat and the rest of the situation afterwards. They have so little healing that it just seems like it should be pretty straight up, like pretty easy to do, especially with a Pharah and the Genji and all the other stuff happening in between. We would do a lot of fucking damage, a lot of AoE damage, which would make it even easier for Genji to mop people up, especially with Discord. So, like, their lack of healing and only having a couple of things that can deal with pharmacy, it seems like that was the play to me. One of them changes to Widowmaker later, which would complicate things slightly. But for right now, I think Winston D.Va, Pharmacy would have made capturing this checkpoint a lot easier. That's assuming we execute properly, of course, which is the other issue. But I think just like on paper, that team comp should beat that team comp, assuming equal skill, you know. So we've got Valkyrie, that's cool. McCree just used Deadeye, so we're less afraid to use Valkyrie as well, because we don't have to avoid it, basically. We've just heard fire in the hole, so we're going to pop Valkyrie and go way high up. This checkpoint, there's not a lot of ways a tire can get to us in the sky, so that's cool. So over here we can see Reinhardt being held hostage by Lucio, so that's how you know it's going really well. Genji died. It's not impossible. Oh, we should go for the res right there. This is where communication is important. Hold on.
Hey, run yourself in the back line, run yourself in the back line.
No, okay. I was listening for something very specific right there. Because if Zen's about to pop Transcendence, he should tell you that he's going to, so you can come in to res somebody. Because if he's using Trans, the res is free. So, really, he should be like... Or you could be like, Zen, use Trans so I can res. Or he should call out that he's about to use Trans. I was listening for something very specific right there. Did not come. Because if he's using Trans, there's no way you die resing them, basically. So, that'd be sick. Synergy. Important. So, what's going on up there?
Okay, Diva's on the high ground. She's flying over to the center high ground.
Genji's getting bullied by Diva? Yeah, Genji's getting bullied by Diva up there. Genji's dead. Oh, he actually gets the Diva, but then dies to McCree. Unfortunate. We got flashbanged by McCree, but he wasn't prepared to give up the high ground to try and kill us, which is fair enough. You see, he's just sitting up there having the fucking time of his life. And then, because we've been dropped so low by McCree doing that, we're easy pickings for Winston to finish off. It's one of those things where, like, there's no good solution for you as Mercy, because everywhere that you can be standing is hazardous in a different way. So the best you can do is just kind of jump back and forth between people and hope they don't kill you. This is the thing, McCree sitting up there uncontested is just making life extraordinarily difficult. And not great lengths are being made to resolve that issue. Oh, just walked straight into a bomb. Or flew straight into a bomb, you know. Mercy doesn't walk. That's the only reason that her wearing high heels isn't impractical. She flies. Think about it. Remember when she couldn't fly? Those were the days. So... we haven't got much time left. Roadhog's going to use his ult just so that we can try and gain some ground right now. It does help, actually. And Ryan's up here. We really want to keep him alive because he's the one touching the point. We got to hide from self-destruct real quick, come back out. He's died in a pretty convenient location. If McCree was in position to fuck us right there, we'd be really upset about it, but he wasn't. So we just kind of got that. Now, Trans is happening, so no death is allowed to happen over here. No more fun for them. Our Genji is dead, again. Zenyatta is died, also. You notice how Junkrat's doing a lot of work as well? Farah. So, you know, because basically, like, he wanted it. Oh, he wanted that kill right there. So, again, everywhere is hazardous. So there's not a great solution for you as Mercy, except just try and juke around, basically. Also, because of the fairly static nature of our team comp, that makes playing Mercy harder as well, because we have less good targets to GA to. Everybody we can GA to is kinda in the same basic area. So, like, you know, we can swing around and do some momentum and juke and all of that, but, like, it's not like we can suddenly swing, like, 50 feet in the air to get away from the Junkrat or anything, right? So it's inconvenient. You know, the tempting thing would be to say, don't pick Mercy. I actually think that in this type of environment, where both teams are organized, I actually think Mercy is the best healer you can pick. So, you know, it's very tempting to say, like, oh, pick Moira, you're harder to kill, but, like, I think Mercy in, like, this type of environment is very strong. So, it's just more like, it's really inconvenient that a lot of elements of the machine are breaking down at the same time, basically. McCree being up there makes it so there's nowhere good for us to stand, and because there's also divers happening, we're jumping around, but McCree is threatening such a huge area that it's just, we're jumping into more divers, so it's very unfortunate. So here, we GA over to Roadhog, and Widow pops out at the exact same time, so tell him 16. Yeah. The only way you I mean, you don't need to go over to the Roadhog, right? Like, he's not actually hurt, so there's no, like, pressing need to extend to try and reach the Roadhog. But, like, realistically, the way that you, avoid that happening is just by pushing tab way more frequently to look at the enemy team composition, basically. You know, you're playing Mercy, you got more freedom to try and do that. So you'll notice we're being dove, like, right outside our spawn right now, so that's really cool. You know, life's very difficult. Could have maybe survived if we used Valkyrie, but at the same time, the rest of our team are dead, so we might as well just die and save the ultimate, seeing as we're gonna have to reset anyway. We're talking about changing to dive tanks right now. That's, like, objectively the correct play after McCree has changed to Widowmaker. That is, like, definitely the play to be made right now, is to dive on them. You could still make an argument for the pharmacy even with a Widowmaker, I think, because we're diving the Widowmaker, right? So the Widow is going to have to spend time running away from the divers. Now, this does have to be coordinated quite well, but I mean, I would hope we were coordinating quite well at the same time, right? So, Reinhardt's used Earth Shatter. I think that might be the first time in recorded history that Reinhardt has actually used Earth Shatter. Granted, versus a dive comp, it's hard to find a good Earth Shatter. So, we get bumped back out into the self-destruct by the Primal Rage Winston, which is very unfortunate for all parties concerned. Because things were going quite well up until that point, but then we died, you know. If self-destruct wasn't happening, it would have been so straightforward. So Reinhardt died, but he's died in an extraordinarily convenient location. Roadhog, of all people, has just managed to kill Widowmaker, so we don't have to worry about using Valkyrie right now. Do we hear it? There's like a tire that I'm listening for. Yeah. So, I was like, this made way more sense to me before I thought about it right now. So, I had assumed when I was watching this through earlier that the reason we were staying so out of the way while this tire was happening still was because we were afraid if we went really high up to avoid the tire, we would die to Widowmaker. Widowmaker is dead right now. So, this was not the most optimal positioning we could assume during the tire happening, basically. Because I was like, I didn't notice at the time. I was like, oh, we must also be hiding from Widow. So I was like, that makes sense. If the tire's happening and there's a Widow, going up is scary. Widow was dead, so it wasn't actually scary. Roadhog, again, Lord Thickness, is not letting that slender woman have any fun today. Which is exactly how, yeah, you know, the joke, there's a joke in there somewhere. It would be very unkind to certain demographics of people. The sort of demographic of people are largely cunts, but, you know. So, now we've finally got some momentum going. We keep staggering them, which is also very convenient. Because there's been some staggering happen. We died, so that was obviously unfortunate, but the momentum kept going anyway. So, divers are still scary, especially, like, in this area where there isn't a lot of cover either, and there's also, like, a Widowmaker. Oh, no, Tracer's here now, actually. Oh, Tracer Genji. Oh, no. Oh, no. So that's going to be very scary for us. Zenyatta is actually Lucio now, so that's like definitely the correct decision at this point. It's, you know, we're gonna get killed, basically. Like, we're gonna get made dead by that team composition. Now, Thara is also definitely the play, because, like, that's how we as Mercy don't die to that composition, is we hang out in the sky, right? Because it's like, if they weren't a 6-man, right, it wouldn't be so scary, because they would not all be diving you in unison. They are going to all be diving you in unison. So if you don't have someone very far away to GA to, this composition kills you. Because they're going to jump on you, and your team are going to have to peel unbelievably well to keep you alive, versus Lucio, Genji, Tracer, Winston, Diva, and then Zenyatta might have Discord Orb on you. You die. You need unescape. You need a Farah to survive versus that composition, because you need to be able to get out, right? And like, bare minimum, someone needs to just be like far away so you can get to them. If everybody is in the same cluster, there's nowhere great for you to escape to, right? Like, you're gonna die versus that composition unless your team peels really fucking well for you. So, Farah would be really cool, though, is basically the moral of today's game. Is just like, fuck, would survival be so much easier if we had a Farah. They had a Widowmaker and a McCree. Dive on them. Then it's not an issue anymore, because they have to spend time running away from the divers. And then the Farah and the Mercy get to be largely uncontested. Whereas but the reality is just like we're basically running Deathball versus Dive. So there's nowhere for us to escape to. And Bridget wasn't in the game yet, so there wasn't somebody to stun all the divers. So it was very unfortunate for all parties involved. So now we're running a dive composition in response to their dive composition, which is fair enough. I would have really liked if one of the flankers was playing Farah, though. You know, the moral of the story hasn't really changed that much. Because basically what we're doing right now is we're just dancing around the fight. Just like, oh god, please stop killing me. But no matter where we go, we find somebody else who is trying to kill us. So it's very unfortunate. And it's not even like you can tuck somewhere out of the way, right? Because then the Winston and Diva jump in that area with you, and you have to spend time getting out of the confined location, which means they kill you. They can also body block you. So it's not even like you can just kind of like hide out of the way. Because someone on their team is going to be like, Mercy's here. Let's kill Mercy. And then you die. You die. Now, we do have a Winston and a Diva. So there's opportunities to go into the sky, which is very helpful versus a team comp that is largely on the ground. So, we're up here now. That's great. We're not up there anymore because Tracer's there. That's alright. Tracer went down there, so now we're up here again. Hooray. Look, the sky. Oh, it's so good. It's so hard to die up here. Especially, like, the only range they have on their team right now is Anna. So, it's pretty cool. You know, Farah would be pretty sick, right?
Oh my god.
I'm on you.
Maybe if someone, you know, could learn how to play Farah.
Me appeal.
Maki.
What if they change to, like, 3 hit scan heroes? Then the dive issue is no longer present. So, it doesn't matter if at that point, right? Because the whole reason that having a Farah is important in this situation is just so Mercy can survive, really. Survival's very important. So now we get to use Valkyrie, and there's basically nothing that can stop us, right? Like, we're a god while we're using Valkyrie, because their team composition... Like, Genji's gonna have to use Dragon Blade to kill us. Like, that's the only way. And Dragon Blading a Valkyrie Mercy is hard, so that's probably not going to happen either. So basically, when we've got Valkyrie, we just get to... Oh, that's the point in time where we just kind of get to sit back, take a break, just look at the fight happening down below us, laugh at the ants, scuttling around for our amusement, you know. Generally how you play Mercy. It's a very stressful team composition to play Mercy against, and this was the crux of the email, the question in the email, rather, was basically, what do you do as Mercy versus this team composition? And basically you're doing just about everything you can feasibly do, which is just try and juke around with GA. The problem is that that's a lot easier to do on ladder, because you are probably not playing against a full pre-made, right? Because the temptation would be to go, oh, if you're juking better, then you don't die, right? Because that would be probably true in most competitive games. But because they are a fully organized team, it's not that simple. because somebody apparently they were also all very high rank. They were all, like, mid-masters. I don't know why I'm trying to remember. I can look at the email, surely. I actually can't, because it's part of this tab, and it would ruin the whole setup I've got going right now. I think they were all mid-masters. They were all very high. So, somebody over there is like, get mercy. Don't stop getting mercy. Keep getting mercy. You know, somebody over there is like calling targets, basically, is the gist here. And they are all interested in working together, and they all know how to work together. So, it's a problem. It's going to always be an issue for you to survive that arrangement as mercy. Let's look at the related videos today. Well, one of them's my own. Fair enough, it is baffling, yes. They're all mine. Except this one. I don't watch this trash. So, my favorite, probably, you know, this is a tangent, but my favorite, flat earth thing I've ever seen was, Elon Musk, I think it was, tweeted, "Why is there no flat Mars society?" And then someone tweeted back, "Because unlike Earth, there is verified evidence that Mars is round." And then it was like, sorry, Mr. Musk, or something like that. Something kind of condescending at the end of it. I was like, ah yes, there's evidence that Mars is round, but not Earth. Okay. If you say so. Anyway, tangent, but that was extremely funny to me. So, yeah, the problem is, it's just that there's not a lot you can do as Mercy. You can just try and survive, and you can call out that you're being dove on, and your team can kind of help you and all that. But when you're being dove by 5 people, there is only so much that your team can do for you. Even if there's a Bridget in there, like, you're still being dove by 5 people. So it's going to be a problem when they're all coordinated and working together. So the way I see it, the only way you survive is if you have a Farah, because then you have an easy way to escape the majority of their team composition. And you just go up and they can't follow you. And if you're running a dive composition in parallel to the Farah, you can jump on the single hit scan and like the Zenyatta or the Ana, and it's not a problem because they're spending time running away from the dive comp. So Farah and Mercy are being largely uncontested, which means you get to just hang out in the sky where most of the enemy team can't hit you. But they can only for limited periods, right? Like Diva can hit you, Winston can hit you, but they have to be able to fly up to you at the time, so they're not like a constant threat. And then you get to just heal in the sky from largely an uncontested location. And you can... It's not an issue if the hit scans are being occupied. You do have to organize well with this team composition. People have to be... if the team is ever, like, straying off and doing their own thing, it'll all fall apart, because if the Farah and Mercy are not working in parallel with the dive comp, then the Farah and the Mercy are very easy to kill. But provided you're coordinated correctly, it shouldn't be an issue surviving as Farah, especially on a map like Dorado, which is one of the better Farah maps, because there's a lot of geometry to work with. Even you as Mercy, like, you can be hanging out further behind the Farah and not even expose yourself as much. And then, you know, you can res the Farah and stuff, you know. So, the way I see it, you did about as much as you could, which is just try and juke, but there's only so much you can do in that kind of environment, basically, by yourself. This is the way. Teamwork is beaten by teamwork, right? That's how it is. So, that's about the best I can see. I think you did about as much as you could in the game. It's just going to be very stressful, and your odds of survival aren't great. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly, and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us, and I hope you found the video helpful.